Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today we have a very highly requested review. I am reviewing YoungLA For Her. YoungLA is the main brand. The For Her is the women's line of it because they also have men's. You guys have been asking me to review YoungLA for quite some time now, at least a year. And whenever you guys are requesting brands, I always have my eyes out on these brands to see what they're coming out with. Sometimes I'll even get very close to ordering for a review and then changing my mind because there are certain things that just put me off. And for a while, YoungLA was one of those brands. I just wasn't really impressed with anything they had on the website. It all looked very basic, and we've talked about this in previous videos, but I just think there are too many activewear brands to just be buying more basics if they aren't standing out in some sort of way. So we gave them some time, and I feel like they're finally coming out with some more unique pieces. I definitely think they're still a little bit on the basic side, leaving me a little bit more to be desired, but enough for me to want to give them a try. Initially, I just don't know, it was giving a lot of like AliExpress, Amazon, like, you know, not really super intriguing. They actually have reached out to me to send me some items, and at the time I still wasn't super sure about them, so I actually did purchase all of this myself. Even if they're sending me things no strings attached, sometimes it just feels better for me to choose what I want and to not feel honestly bad if I don't like it, because I'm going to share my opinion, good or bad, either way. So it just feels better sometimes to buy it myself. A little bit more about YoungLA. I feel like their price point is on the mid to high range, but maybe a little bit more mid-range, almost like Gymshark pricing. Not quite like Alphalete, Buff Bunny, Petula. Those I would consider a high price point, although we even have higher like Alo Yoga, Lululemon, Vitality, like those are even higher, but you know what I mean. For example, I will share all of the prices of everything I bought today, but the bras were in the $30 range and the leggings were like 40 to 50. So I definitely think that's more mid price point. I also know that someone who used to work at Alphalete also works at YoungLA now, and she's designing a lot of the pieces. So that's a little connection there. They definitely have some seamless leggings that look like they are resembling Amplify. I also always like to mention if there are any shipping or return issues when I am doing these like initial brand reviews. So I placed this big order and I checked on their website. They said almost all of their orders are shipped within 2 days, except for when orders are placed near big launches. I did not place this at the time of a launch. And then 9 days passed, checking my email, still had not received a shipping confirmation. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of tired of waiting. So I emailed and I was like, hey, why haven't I received a shipping confirmation? They were like, oh, looks like there was a technical difficulty. We'll get that shipped out right away. I just don't feel like they are that new of a brand that I should have to remind them to ship my item. So I didn't like that. At least they did ship it after that. But if you ever order from YoungLA and nothing's happening, I guess you just have to remind them. Another thing is that every time I go on their website, so when I was initially placing my order, I added everything to my cart and waited like a day. I don't know how they got my cell phone information, but I was getting texts that were like, oh, looks like you were looking at some of our items. Like, let me even see what they said. Yep. Hey there, we noticed you eyeing something on our site. Come back and shop now. And I've gotten like 4 of these texts. I was grabbing all the links for every item for you guys for my description yesterday. And like 2 hours after, they're like, hey, we noticed you looking at some items. I'm like, please don't overwhelm me with texts. I have never seen that as a positive thing for a brand to be like all up in my texts like that. So I don't like that. I know you can opt out, but it's still kind of weird. It's giving like HelloFresh desperate, you know, how HelloFresh like just will never leave you alone. Anyways, truly not a big deal, but just something annoying that I wanted to mention. Anyways, enough chatting. I ordered a bunch of pieces from a bunch of different collections. I wanted to try some seamless, some non-seamless, some sweatpants, etc. They definitely had some pieces that were sold out on the website, so I kind of didn't get my choice of colors, but I don't really care. I'm just trying this stuff for review for you guys. So without further ado, let's try everything on. Okay, starting off with the seamless curve bra. I got everything in a size small, which is kind of where their size chart put me at. This top was $35. They do also have discount codes as well. So we have a ribbed bra band. We have the YoungLA embroidered logo. I do like an embroidered logo with seamless. I do prefer it on the back though. And this is something that Alphalete does too, where they just put the logos like front and center. I just prefer it in the back, but it's not a total deal breaker for me. We do have a little ribbed detailing that kind of contours the bust here. Looks like a scoop neckline. We do have removable cup pads. Let's see how these are. Okay, we have the triangle ones, which sometimes I like the triangle ones. And fortunately, they look like they have enough sturdiness that they aren't going to be crinkling, so that's good. And then the back has a little strappiness, so definitely going to be an open, strappy back. We have skinny straps. They are not adjustable. And this is made of a polyamide polyester elastane blend. Let's try it on. Okay, here we have the bra. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the coverage on this one. I thought it was going to be pretty minimal, But even though it's clearly not a super high support bra, I'm still pretty covered. I was going to give a low to medium coverage, but I think this is actually more of a medium coverage. I'm fully covered in the side boob. We have a little scoop neck here, but I don't feel like I'm going to fall out of it. We have the little bra band here. For me, honestly, the logo kind of disappears, so kind of solves my problem with not really liking a front logo, but we still do have that there. We do have those cup pads. The straps, they feel okay. They do feel like they could kind of irritate over time. They are made of that kind of stiff material that doesn't really have a lot of stretch to it. So if this bra is a little bit too snug, that could get uncomfortable on the traps. I think overall I would say size down if in between though, because the bra band is pretty loose, honestly. It's not really snug snatching. Support is a low support. It's just not really giving a lot. But honestly, I don't need high impact for most of my gym days personally, so it's not necessarily a deal breaker. And then we have the back, cute little strappy detail, very minimalist, open for those back days. So yeah, I definitely feel like there's a little bit of a sizing discrepancy with the straps here being a little tight, this area being a little loose. But I'd say overall, it's a comfortable bra, good coverage, and I like the strappy back detail. Another thing about YoungLA, it seems like their sizing is either extra small to extra large, and they come out with what seems like a lot of launches. So I would like to see them like expand their size range a little bit, just because it's nice to have at least a 2 to 3XL, as well as some lengths, which we will talk about later too. Just because, I don't know, I don't feel like they are a small brand. I feel like they are doing a lot of stuff. They have a lot of influencers promoting the brand. They have a pretty significant following. You think that they would have the capabilities to expand that size range. Anyways, next we have the seamless curve leggings. These are also a size small. These are $52, so these are a little bit more expensive than some of their other leggings. And these are interesting. We'll see another pair of their seamless that I think were an earlier seamless launch that are definitely just like amplify dupes. But these seem like they're trying to do something a little bit different. I always like to see a brand, if you're going to do a seamless, try to make it your own a little bit, make it a little bit unique. So these do look unique to YoungLA, which is nice to see. So we have a nice stretchy seamless. It is very much giving the same type of very slightly marled stretchy seamless material that is similar to an amplify, which I do like this kind of seamless. The waistband is sewn on to the leggings, and we can see the waistband is quite small. She's short. So this will kind of give you a combination of maybe not so much tummy control, but also like a lower rise. So if that's something that you like, if you are not someone who really likes a high rise, this may appeal to you. Personally, I hope that this at least goes to my belly button. So we have a vertical rib detail, and then in the back we do have that embroidered YoungLA logo. Again, I don't mind an embroidered logo like this if it's in the back. They have curved seams in the back, which should be flattering, and they also have a shorter back rise seam. So this kind of reminds me of the Buff Bunny BBL seamless. This shortened back rise seam goes up the glutes to give you kind of the same effect of having a scrunch, but you don't have that scrunch look. And here's a close-up here. There is a little bit of a difference in the rib texture of the waistband at the top here. You can see where this is sewn on in the back and that shorter back rise seam. I feel like these could be pretty promising if they're not super low rise. These are also a 24-inch inseam, which is pretty standard for seamless leggings. They have a lot of vertical stretch, so I don't see length being an issue. So let's give them a try. All right, here we are with the leggings, and so far they're feeling good. They definitely feel like a thicker, a little bit more dense seamless, but they still have a lot of stretch. So I'm liking the seamless material, not feeling any tightness in the knees or tightness bending down. I definitely feel like the waistband is very short. So if you are someone who's looking for lower tummy control, this is really not going to offer it. I also feel like after kind of letting these settle to where they want, I am showing a teeny bit of belly button, so I'm actually gonna put these as kind of, I don't know, would you guys consider this mid-rise or mid to high rise? I'm so picky about rises. I feel like this is about as low as I would let it go. So just keep in mind, if you are a shorter torso, this could be a good height on you, but if you are someone who is like a die-hard high rise, don't go for these. I do like the waistband. I have to say I don't mind when the waistband is sewn on. I think that offers a couple fun features for them to do, like to do those curved seams in the back. The waistband is probably more of a medium to high compression, and overall I get about a medium compression. This fabric is slightly marled, and I honestly feel like you probably get a little bit of cellulite coverage in these because of the marl and because the fabric is a little bit thicker. And then we go to the back, so we have that logo. I think the waistband does dip down a tiny bit in the back. That might kind of disappear throughout the workout though. Then we have those curved seams, super flattering. That short back rise seam goes right up the glutes, and these do not feel like they're going anywhere. So I definitely feel like they're super flattering in the back, high on the booty scale, but they still leave a lot of stretch for the glutes. You are going to feel a little bit of tightness up the back rise, a little bit of scrunch invasiveness, if you will, so just keep that in mind. We don't have any details down the side of the leg, and this fabric is kind of similar to an Alphalete Amplify, so with super light colors you will probably experience some degree of sheerness. This color does look pretty good though. All right, and here's the full length. These are a 24-inch inseam, but they have a lot of vertical stretch. So I'm able to basically get a full length on these. Really no other details on them. They're pretty simple. I'd say overall true to size. If you're in between, I would size up just because I was just getting a little bit of tightness putting these on. But yeah, overall I think these are a kind of more unique seamless legging. They're cute, they're flattering, something a little bit different than just an amplified dupe, which I like to see brands doing. You know, make yourself a little bit unique. I don't like to see the same stuff. So I'm liking these, but I think I would have liked just like a tiny bit higher of a waistband. While we're doing the seamless curve, let's just move on to the seamless curve shorts. So very similar structure to the leggings. We have that short little waistband. Let's check the inseam. We have a 5-inch inseam, but keep in mind this is a style of short that you are supposed to kind of pull up the glutes, so you do lose a lot of that fabric to that, so it'll probably end up feeling more like a 3-inch inseam for me. So I always like to see like a 6 or 7-inch, maybe like a biker or something like that, but these do look pretty cute. They have this bright green color. Let's try it on. All right, here are the shorts, and I wish this tag was not there, because that is awkward. We're just gonna tuck it in right there for now. But anyways, we still have that same kind of like mid to high rise, kind of just hitting around the belly button for me. I will say putting these on immediately, they are feeling snug. So something that I always look for in shorts is if we have a nice spacious thigh opening, and if we look around the back here, I'm getting major cutting in into the upper thighs. So if you're a thick thigh girly, definitely would recommend sizing up, or just honestly skipping these. I can't say how a medium would fit me, but I'm definitely feeling it compressed in the thigh area, unfortunately, and this is just not a comfortable or flattering look. The front, honestly, it looks fine, but you can definitely see a little bit of indenting there. Overall compression, partially because of thigh tightness, is giving like medium to high. And I will say you are kind of seeing my nude underwear underneath these shorts. So if you are a stickler for squat proofness, I would avoid this light green. For me, I still feel like it's something that I would be okay wearing to the gym just because you probably wouldn't see a ton, but definitely no dark colored underwear. Then we have those curved glute seams, the seam up the back, still a high on the booty scale. They definitely do a good job of making them nice and flattering on the glutes, but the thigh area just really gets me. And you can also see these are a 5-inch inseam, but they're fitting quite short because of the fabric that goes up the back rise. So they're fitting more like like I said before, a 3-inch inseam. So just keep that in mind whenever something lists an inseam, that doesn't necessarily mean how it will appear on your leg. But yeah, definitely prefer the leggings. For shorts, I would like if they loosened up the thigh opening a little bit, because I definitely do get a stopping tight point here, and also just a little bit longer to accommodate for a little bit more thigh space, just so I don't get rolling, because I know as soon as I squat or do anything in these, they're going to roll up. We also have the seamless curve compression tee. This is kind of going with that seamless collection. This is made of a slightly thinner, more lightweight seamless. We have a raised silicone YoungLA logo in the front, some kind of embossed contour detailings down the side, and looks like it's going to be almost kind of like baby tee length, like maybe hit right about at the waistband, and then pretty simple in the back. So here you can see that raised silicone logo. Kind of interesting since we didn't see this on any of the leggings, but I like a tonal logo. All right, here is the compression tee. It's actually really nice to see them coming out with a quote unquote full length top. I personally consider this full length. It's kind of like top of the hip bones. I'm not showing any skin, so I consider it full length. It's not going over the hips though, so kind of keep that in mind. If I raise up my arms, maybe show a tiny bit of skin. But anyways, we don't always see brands coming out with anything other than crops these days, so I do like this length of a top. The seamless composition, I believe, is the same as the shorts and leggings, but it feels a little bit more lightweight, and it's meant to be like a compression tee. And I would say I'm getting tight in some areas, a little bit looser in some others. Like at the bottom of the shirt, it's not very tight on me, but in the bust area and in the sleeves, my shoulders are being quite compressed. And same with my armpits, it feels like awkwardly tight in the armpits, but it is meant to be tight. So anyways, I would say true to size for a compressive fit. And everyone has slightly different body proportions. I carry more weight up here and less here, so that could be why it's a little bit tight on the top and looser on the bottom for me. This isn't like loose by any means, it's just not like compressive in the waist area. Anyways, love the length of this. We do have that logo in the front here. I wonder if you don't know what YoungLA is, if anyone's like, looks at it and says like, what's YoungLA? You know, there's no space between young and LA, so I could see it happening. Anyways, we have a crew neck here. You can see some of the details down the side of the shirt here. It's almost like a, you know, those old style like Lululemon seamless tops that have that little seamless detail. And then the back is pretty plain here. Yeah, it's just nice to have a little top like this for a cover up. And I am wearing that blue bra underneath it, and I don't really think you could see the blue color underneath, which is nice. All right, shall we try some flares? So I was very intrigued by these flares. First of all, I was a little nervous because they only come in one length, and you guys know I am a tall girly. I need at least a 33 to 34 inch inseam, which is generally considered a tall inseam. And that kind of goes hand in hand with their slightly restricted size range. I would also like to see multiple lengths of flare leggings. Regular leggings, I feel like you can get away a little bit more with one length. Multiple would be nice. But with flares, you really have to cater to different leg lengths, because if you're short, your flares are gonna be dragging on the ground. And if you're really tall, you're going to be expecting a flood, you know? So really only the like 5'4" to 5'7" girlies win. Anyways, these were $42, which I think is pretty reasonable for a flare legging. I definitely do feel like I'm seeing a lot of similar elements to Alphalete here. The seamless is obviously a very similar material. And then here with the little script logo, this definitely reminds me of, I think it's the Alphalete Surface that they have the little script logo like this. That's also like a shiny silicone. So you can see the little logo back here. And this fabric almost kind of reminds me of Alpha Luxe, except it's definitely a little bit more of a sleek to the touch feeling. I feel like with the curved seamless, at least holding them, they feel pretty nice and high quality. This fabric is not really giving me that same feeling, but we'll see how it is on. Anyways, we have a waistband with no top band. Another kind of small waistband here. So again, not going to be a lot of tummy control. No front rise seam. We do have a little triangle gusset here. That's a tiny gusset. I hope that that is enough. A crotch gusset allows you to have a little bit more freedom of movement in the crotch area, so things aren't pulling or going up, you know, places where they shouldn't. And then in the back, the seams are pretty flat across, maybe a very slight curve. And then potentially a shorter back rise seam. We'll see how this ends up sitting. But again, it only came in one length, and the website said that it was a 34-inch inseam. This doesn't look like 34 inches though, so we will measure. Dang, I guess they were right. Yeah, I'm getting a 34.5-inch inseam. I just like, for some reason it doesn't look super tall. So that's actually really tall for a one length flare for it to come in. So I'm interested to see how that fits me. Then the flare shape, it looks like a moderate to dramatic flare, but we'll see when it's on. Okay, so these are kind of throwing me off in a couple ways. First of all, they did say on the website that they are low rise. But on the model, they didn't look this low, but I do have a long torso. So I don't even think I could really comfortably pull them up much higher. Like if we wanted to pull them up to there, I just know they would come back down. So yeah, we are full on belly button exposed. I'm giving these a low to mid rise. And honestly, I know that this is coming back into style. Personally, it's just something a little bit too low for me to wear on a daily basis. I don't mind seeing some belly button, but I do like my leggings, at least on the sides, to hit the natural waist before my hips start to go out again. So that's just personal preference. If anyone has been waiting for the low rise to make a return, here they are. Anyways, overall the leggings are a sleek performance feel. We do have a side seam down here, short waistband. Overall, they're actually pretty true to size. You could really go either way if you're in between, and really only a light to medium compression. The fabric isn't super thin, so I'd say you get a little bit of cellulite coverage. The back is decently flattering. I think over time it would kind of settle down a little bit low, so I'm gonna give them just a medium on the booty scale, because when you kind of situate them, they can be flattering, but I don't think it would stay as well as like the curve seamless leggings. But they are doing something with this back rise seam here, and this is definitely hitting me a little bit low in the back too. Cellulite coverage, again, could be a little bit. Let's do a full length view. And I honestly am very shocked that this only came in one length and they're 34.5-inch inseam. Like, that just shocks me. Whenever I see a single length flare legging, it's always 30 to max 32 inches. I mean, I'm happy about it for my tall girlies. Like, this is great for us. This is literally a perfect length for me. It's just kind of skimming the floor, which means when I put on shoes, it's gonna be perfect. But it's just surprising. Like, so it would be nice to see them come out with multiple lengths. I did see, according to their size chart, all sizes are the 34.5-inch inseam, so no matter what size you are, the inseam is the same. In terms of flare shape, it flares kind of right around the knee area, and it's just kind of a classic flare shape. I wouldn't say it's too bell-bottomy. It's definitely more than just a boot cut, and they are not clinging to my calves. So I also like the flare shape of these. They are thick calf friendly. So yeah, overall, I think a lot of things they're doing right. I like the fit of them. I like the fit of everything that's going on in the bottom, but I would prefer something a little bit higher rise. Okay, we have another sports bra. This is the Vital sports bra. I got a size small, and this one is $32. So this feels like a slightly dense brushed fabric. Again, I was kind of limited on color options. I try not to review things in black because they're a little bit hard to see, but sometimes that's all that I'm left with. We have a V-neck. Definitely seems like a more lightweight, minimalist bra. There's a little pin detail here. We do have an elastic that is on the inside of the bra, but the fabric goes over seamlessly. I do really like this style. We have tiny little straps, but they are adjustable. And then in the back, you have kind of a more classic heat seal press on logo. All right, here we are with the bra. So this one, and I could tell from the website photos too, the coverage is just not great for larger cup sizes. I think the last bra did a good job of still being minimalist, but having some coverage. So I'm definitely experiencing a little bit of spillage here and just not confident this would really hold me in at the gym. So I'm gonna say not so much large cup size friendly on this one. I do like the neckline, a cute little V-neck here. I like the little dart detail up there. I just feel like it gives a nice shape to the bust. I also like the little elastic on the inside there that has this little seamless look, but still gives a little bit of hold. I'd say definitely true to size overall. If you're in between, really just depends, but if you are a little bit larger on the cup size range, I would definitely choose the size up. Super thin straps, and kind of similar to the last bra, they're just pretty stiff. They don't really have any stretch to them, so they definitely can get a little bit uncomfortable in the trap area, so just keep that in mind. Overall coverage, I'm gonna say low coverage and low support. Again, I'm not confident that I wouldn't be having a wardrobe malfunction at the gym in this. This one in general feels more like a lifestyle bra, or at least like super low impact. And then it's very simple in the back. I do like that the straps are adjustable and just straight across. So not that much going on. I think if you are a smaller cup size, this could be really flattering in the front. But for me, it's gonna be a no. Starting to realize I got quite a few things, so bear with me. Next, we have one of their earlier style of seamless leggings. This is the Core Seamless Scrunch legging. They are $52, and these are the ones that are definitely giving Athlete Amplify. So we have that signature 3-tiered compression waistband. They decided to put the logo in the front waistband area. Personally, I hate any logo that's in the front. Keep it in the back, okay? Keep it in the back. I don't know, maybe people disagree, but I just feel like it just like gets rid of that sleek effect of the legging. It just like center back just always makes sense. This specific color doesn't look very marled, but it does have a lot of stretch to it. It does feel similar to an Athlete Amplify. Then we have that scrunch in the back. Something that I'm noticing here is that the scrunch does attach slightly to the gusset. One thing that it is missing is Athlete usually has a little area that kind of widow's peaks like back into the scrunch that this does not have. Anyways, here's a close-up. We can see that 3-tier compression waistband, the stretchy scrunch detail, and the fabric. There's like a hint of marl to it, but really more solid. All right, here we have the Core Seamless. So I honestly hope that they are going away from this direction because these are truly just the Amplify dupes. And if I wanted an Amplify dupe, I would go on Amazon or AliExpress and pay $30. I wouldn't be paying $50 and then to have all the added branding. There's nothing special about these. I much prefer the Curve Seamless. I feel like they added their own touch to it. This is just so like overdone at this point. So we'll still review them, but I definitely prefer the other seamless. All right, right off the bat, we have a snatching waistband. The waistband is quite compressive, so if you don't want your waistband snatched, I would recommend sizing up. Overall, the waistband compression is medium to high. The rest of the leggings is about, I don't know, between medium and light to medium. It has a ton of stretch, but I do feel held in. We have no front seam here. We have that logo, again, just not great for me. And then I also forgot that we'll share later as well when I show the full length view, but there's another logo down the side of the leg. Again, I didn't ask for more branding on an Amplify style legging, you know? I guess I would say, I was gonna say mid to high rise, but I think it's covering my belly button pretty well, so I would consider these a high rise. And then like any scrunch seamless legging, these are super flattering in the back, ton of stretch around the glutes. We do have that scrunch. The waistband sits right above there, so high on the booty scale for sure. It does feel like this fabric, they definitely chose a minimally marled fabric here, and it seems pretty dense, so I'd say you have a little bit of cellulite coverage going on. Onto the full length view. Again, when you measure these leggings, they aren't going to look very long, but they have a lot of vertical stretch, so I am able to get a full length on them. There are no side details. That's one thing that distinguishes them from a regular Amplify dupe. They usually have a side detail. And then we have the YoungLA logo down the left outer calf. It's not super noticeable, but definitely if you hit the light in certain ways, you do see it. I just don't really like a lot of branding, so that's not really something that I like. But if you are into the branding, it's there. But you can get this style of legging for cheaper. But it's just not something that I would buy. I would stick to the other seamless leggings from them. Okay, I also got the Urban leggings. I wanted to try another non-seamless. These were $45. And I'm trying to figure out, and I guess, you know, I haven't tried anything on yet because I do my seated portion first and then we try on. But I don't feel like the rises are super low overall, like the actual rise length here. Let's see, I feel like generally about like an 8 or 9 inch rise is pretty standard. Yeah, so we have an 8.5 inch rise here, but the waistband portion of it is quite short, and that feels pretty consistent across a lot of the styles. So anyways, kind of a shorter waistband, no front seam. We have another smaller triangle gusset. This is a semi-sleek performance. This fabric does feel pretty basic, like pretty consistent with more affordable brands. It doesn't feel like super luxurious high quality. Their seamless fabrics definitely feel a little bit better. But anyways, we have some slightly tapered seams in the back. I don't even see a logo on this one. Okay, they decided to put the logo down the side of the right leg. Again, I prefer it in the back. I don't mind a lower leg logo, especially if it's smaller like this. Let's try these on. Another thing about these leggings is that I just hate this color. And not that it's an ugly color, it's because every brand who starts making leggings starts out with this eggplanty, like mauvey purple, and I just see it so much, and I'm just like, give me something else, you know? Give me like a deep purple, something except for this. Like if you go on any Amazon, AliExpress brand, everything is in this color. I just like something else. This color and then a sage green, everything. Okay, so I couldn't initially tell what the material was going to be for these on the website. And I think that they might even be the same composition as the flares, but I'm just really not impressed with this fabric. I definitely feel like they have their seamless fabrics down a little bit more. And honestly, it's like you're either a seamless brand or you're a non-seamless brand, and it's hard to excel in both areas. And I definitely feel like their non-seamless is just really okay at this point. Could they improve? Yes. But right now, this is not what I would go for. Anyways, this fabric, it just feels a little bit thin, a little bit cheap, and absolutely going to slide just right down. If you're going to do a sleek performance fabric, I feel like the design has to be really intentional about keeping the leggings up, and I'm just not seeing that happening here. First of all, again, another kind of lower rise. I would say we're right about like a mid-ish rise here. I don't know. I feel like if it were right here, I would consider it high rise, but just the way that I know that this would slide down and then end up being below my belly button, I would go for more of a just mid-rise. Again, shorter waistband here, not focusing on a lot of tummy control. We do have a seam down the side of the leg here. I like to avoid that if possible. It just looks a little bit sleeker, but definitely not a deal breaker for me. And then in the back, it has potential for the glutes. Like the seams are flattering, but I know that if I wore these for more than 5 minutes, like I just sat down to do my little notes as I do with everything that I try on, they were sliding down. So I think we're gonna end up with a, I don't know, I'll give it a medium to high on the booty scale just because right now it looks good. Not going to get a lot of cellulite coverage because the fabric is thin and it is sleek, which just doesn't provide a lot of buffer for any cellulite or skin texture. And then a full length view here. These are hitting more like an ankle length, 7/8 on me, which is fine. I often go for this length. It's not awkwardly short, but it's still good. And yeah, I just feel like the style of the legging is nice, but I could use a fabric change. And honestly, everything from them so far has been a little bit more low rise than personally I'm comfortable with. So but if you do have a shorter torso, it's good to have options for everyone. And lastly, I wanted to try some joggers, hoodies. I definitely feel like they do a lot of loungewear at YoungLA. Let's start out with the Scuba Joggers. So these looked pretty cute on the website. I don't know why I chose this color. It's not gonna be a good color on me, but again, we're a little limited in colors. So this is made of a scuba style fabric. So it's meant to kind of almost look like a neoprene, have a little bit more structure and like almost like squishiness. I have had some fabrics like this before. I wanna say like Alpha Elements, kind of similar to that, except this one has a little bit more of a fuzzy look to it. I expected it to be a little bit more sleek performance, but it's not. Anyways, looks like there's a high rise here. We have an internal drawstring. We have 2 front pockets and they're actually zippered pockets. I love to see that. And then the bottom, we have little elasticated draw cords to kind of like cinch in your joggers. We also have a raised silicone YoungLA on the left front area. Let's try them on. All right, here we are with the joggers. So first of all, I am liking the fit of them when we tuck in these little strings here. It's just nice to have a relaxed fit that isn't like awkwardly tight on the hips or the thighs or the calves. And I feel like we have a good amount of space throughout, but they're still snug yet stretchy on the waist. It's hitting me right at my natural waist here. So I consider this high rise, and then we do have that internal drawstring, but honestly, I don't even really need to use it. I love that the pockets on the side are zip pockets. First of all, they're actually pretty spacious down here, and having the pocket have a zipper is just such a nice little bonus that keeps everything nice and secure. We have that logo here. Again, I wish it was that embossed logo. I think it really would have tied in the sweatshirt. I do feel like these have a little bit of a weird feeling to them because of the scuba type texture. It doesn't feel like a cozy, soft fleece sweatpant. It's almost giving like genie pants in a way. I hope someone understands what I mean by that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just like, they definitely look like they have a little bit of structure going on to them. And then in the back, they're pretty basic. There's something I don't like about the way that they finished the outer material. I feel like almost a little bit of roughness out there. I don't know if it's just my batch. And then finally the bottoms. So they are cuffed. I feel like they are a pretty tall girl friendly brand. Like all the leggings have been a pretty decent inseam. But anyways, you can tighten these little joggers at the bottom here. And so we have one untightened side and one tightened side. So you can kind of do that to your liking. And then I just tucked in the little elastic on the side. So I like the fit of these, but the material is just okay for me. I do prefer kind of a classic sweatpant material, but they're still cute. And then the matching Scuba hoodie. So it's that same kind of scuba-y material. You can see it just has a little bit more structure to it than a normal fleece sweatshirt. We do have a kangaroo pocket here, kind of a wrapped hood detail. I think that's super cute. I like the logo on this one, that it's actually like embossed into the fabric. Ooh, that feels really cool. I'm kind of curious why they wouldn't put this on the bottoms as well. The bottoms had an actual silicone logo, but I think this embossed logo is kind of cool. So you can see that little embossed logo there. And then we have YoungLA on the back as well. I'm not a huge fan of really intense branding, but I like that it's at least tonal to the sweatshirt. I think that makes it look a little bit more wearable, a little bit more sleek. Looks like we are going to have a pretty oversized fit. This is a size small. Let's try it on. All right, so this is quite oversized. Honestly, was not expecting it to be this slouchy. So this is a women's size small, and I would say it fits like a large or extra large. So it runs very big. Personally, I think this is a little bit too oversized for me. I would have liked maybe one size down. So keep that in mind. The length, it is going over my hips, about halfway over my butt. So definitely a full to longer length. We do have that kangaroo pocket here. Okay, the embossed logo is on the left side. I like how cozy the hood feels. It has this little like wrapped hoodie detail, almost like a little bit of a mock neck, but it just kind of keeps you nice and warm in the neck. So I think that's super cozy and fun. Lots of room in the sleeves, definitely a slouchier sleeve look. The sleeves are also full length, even a little bit long. Then we have the back, we have the hood, and then we have that embossed logo in the back there. So definitely heavy on the branding and pretty similar to the joggers. I think that the style is cute. I actually like the branding on this, but I think it does run a little bit bigger than I was expecting. And the material, it's not that it's not soft, it's just not the coziest. So it's just not a material that I would go for. And you definitely feel when the fabric folds because it's a little bit more structured. So yeah, I probably would have preferred just a regular sweatshirt material, which I think they probably have. I just was kind of drawn to this branding. Okay guys, that is it for the review. I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure to leave any more requests for other brands in the comments down below. I'm glad I could finally get to trying YoungLA. I definitely tried a range of items from there, ranging from more recent drops to older drops, and I definitely see an improvement. I also feel like their newer items are getting a little bit more unique. Some of their original items, just really nothing too special about them, stuff you can find elsewhere. And again, if I can find it elsewhere, I'll probably just buy it elsewhere. Like, I'm not trying a new brand for the exact same stuff. So I definitely hope they go in that direction. I think the curved seamless leggings were very promising. So I'll definitely keep my eyes out for any new interesting items from them and maybe try them again in the future. But I'll have you guys let me know what you think of YoungLA, if you've tried them before, in the comments down below. Were you impressed? Were you underwhelmed? If you made it this far, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!